Well, this one's called Lottie, and her real name is Charlotte Tiger Lily. He's Hector Black Mulberry because when he was born he had huge feet like black mulberries. And they have a brother called Archibald Thistle Wallace. Hector? He wants the dregs of my cup of coffee. Hector, come here, you can have this. Come here. It's coming. I don't want him growling all the way through it. Hector, come here, come and sit down. Sit. Sit. Sit down. It's a good boy. Sit down, stay. I go exploring in Edinburgh, like just wandering around. Every time I go into town I'll try and go on a different route and take some photographs and just have a look at things and get a few ideas on the way along. I don't do sketching as such because it's not the way I work, but I do tiny little sort of thumbnail drawings and then just basically memorise what I want. Whatever I do, whatever scale, it comes basically down to drawing. There's very little painting with paint and big brushes. I sing in a choir, and last year we were singing some Vaughan Williams interpretations of Shakespeare, and the words and music were just fabulous, and there were just little bits that I liked so much I started writing them out and then put them together all into a big painting with Shakespearean motifs. I like drawing lilies, and so I looked up through all my gardening books the right kind of old lilies to draw and the right type of writing that was used then. That's a good boy. There. You want to sit in there. Just sit down. Just whatever you do, sit down and stay still. There was another one I did which was called Celtic Blessing. I had been at a funeral and somebody had read out this blessing, which I think was one of the Irish ones. So I did some research and effectively wrote my own version and then put it together in a big landscape. So it's a really big painting with lots of writing making up the hillsides. I've just come back from Vietnam and we were in some amazing temples in absolutely incredible places. I came back with all these images. I've incorporated goldfish, which were everywhere, and the symbolism of the fish with long life and happiness and good fortune. The inside of the temples were very, very bright. There were a lot of bright red and bright purple, big sheets of paper with writing on them, which were prayers for dead people or dying people, all hanging up. Very, very beautiful. So I've incorporated some of these drawings of these prayer sheets, which I just photographed at the time, and then have made my own version into a fairly abstract painting, which is almost finished. And I know I need one or two touches, but they're always the most difficult bit to do. Sometimes I have paintings and I know there's a fundamental problem in the structure. It's usually in the composition, and if I'm working on card I can just tear it apart and rebuild it, usually in a more abstract way, which actually works far better. So I tend to work on mounting card. I wet it, I draw on it, I scribble, I use knives, I scrape, and actually rather than just tear the card I take the front off it because it's layers of paper. Sometimes I'll have what looks like to somebody else quite a reasonable finished picture, but if it's not working for me I'll wash it off and there's a ghost left and I can start again and reuse that. Sometimes it doesn't work, but usually, a happy accident comes along and things work together again. But when I need a bit of downtime and playing around, I'll paint flowers. I love growing flowers in the garden, and I'll do paintings of them. Was indulging myself drawing Venice, which I do quite regularly and enjoy, but I've just got to a very difficult stage with this one and I need to do something fairly dramatic, so it's in its final stages as well. I was one of the founder trustees of Painting in the Hospitals, now known as Art in Healthcare, because obviously it's not all just paintings and they're not all just hospitals. So in the early days we put work into prisons. We had the prisoners involved in choosing the works. Very interesting times. With the law background, I knew, or at least if I didn't know, I knew how to find out how to set up something like that. Because it's a charitable organisation, it's actually quite complicated to set them up properly with the right documentation, the right constitution. You've got to get staff, you've got to have contracts, you've got to think about PAYE and everything like that. Then I became less useful once it was set up and I was needed doing other things, so it was time to move on and put some time into other organisations I was involved with.